Should we really be worried about this announcement? Don't beg the 30% of you that have not smashed the ever-living grab out of that subscribe button. Smash it so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. So this is very, very interesting. Over here on the sidebar here is an announcement from the official Yu-Gi-Oh! OCG Twitter talking about the next Forbidden and Limited list, which goes into effect April 1st, 2023. Now, if you know, on Sunday we were all like, oh, okay, well, you know, we're all kind of gathering together here to be ready for this list, but it didn't drop. And I made a video being like, well, Konami did break their golden rule, which is usually consistency. And for the last 4 years, we followed the same consistent mold. So for them to make this announcement and go, hey, the list is going to be scheduled for 3/26 at 2100 hours on Yu-Gi-Oh! Japan. Now, the reason why they've sent out this announcement is because yesterday they had so much traffic on their website. So many people were so excited for this list because we followed 4 years of tradition at this point. I'll talk about something else here that's very important to this as well. We followed so many years of tradition to this point that they broke it. They didn't upload the list. So now the Japan community is not very happy about the delay for this list. Having to wait 2 additional weeks for this when most of their time they get 3 weeks in advance to test these formats and start to figure things out is very, very interesting. So in true Yu-Gi-Oh! Player fashion, the OCG crashed the website. I gotta clap for that. Now, I do got to talk about a couple things here and why I mentioned the worry part of this. They're releasing a list on 3/26. Now, for those of you that don't know, for the last... I can't even think of a time where this hasn't been the mold. But the ban list is always released inside of the Shonen Jump or weekly Shonen Jump magazine in Japan. And it's always been like a massive staple thing that you could open up the magazine and you could get the chance to see the list in physical print here. Now, what I find very interesting is this would be the first time in, honestly, I think the entire history of the game for back as far as I remember in this game that we've seen that ban list printed in that magazine. And the way that they would usually do is they would, you know, release the official list, you know, so that it would be on the site. You could see it with the physical print, and then it would be, you know, they basically come out about the same time simultaneously. So the fact that they're pushing this back to 3/26 means that is there something going on in the background here that we don't know about in terms of Shueisha and the ban list publication in that book? And I mean, like I said, for as long back as I can, you know, remember, there has been some sort of publication for that. So maybe we could see the ban list earlier as a leak from the magazine, or there's something else going on here that I've actually heard a few OCG players talking about, and it is Konami needed more time to actually produce a ban list. There hasn't been a ban list made just yet. And you're probably like, Robbie, what do you mean? Like, Konami usually is pretty straightforward about most of these things. Yeah, I feel at certain points that they usually have a pretty good idea of what they're doing here. But remember, we just came off of how much power creep as of late. The fact that you had one of the craziest formats out here in the game's history, you know, when you power creep from here to all the way up here, and then you start to roll back down here, you know, from the peak of tier elements, you've got to remember the OCG is still in tier purgatory. All right, they did not make massively good calls on their last list. They sent tier still up here to the top. That's still an issue. I have a feeling that they're, well, how do I say this? In the current block of sets we're in, I would consider this the adjustment of power creep era, where Cyberstorm Access didn't break too much. I mean, it made purely a better deck. It gave some key cards. It gave very strong power-ups, but you know, you're in the first set of the new block here with Duelist Nexus. You have to remember that as, you know, we're sitting up here, this set has to go through the next 3 months. So it's going to have to cover April, May, June. You'll see in the July block here how they have to do. So if you're setting up for WCQ season here, you want to make sure that Duelist Nexus, one, doesn't break anything. There is Synchron support in there that we do know about. We don't have anything Fallen of Albaz lore as of filming this video. So that's kind of something to kind of take into consideration there. But I have a feeling that they're worried about an interaction, or they're worried about something here, or they're worried about maybe the player's trust at this point in time. Those are like the really big things I'm considering here. I think the other interaction might be with Purely. The reason I specifically bring up Purely is this deck has been kind of turning heads, and I don't think that they want to ruin the deck's existence just yet. The whole thing that's making Purely a very strong deck is Nor. All right, the fact that Nor can actually deploy itself, have 5 materials, be unaffected by literally everything except for Herald of the Abyss, Exceed Encore. Thank you, Exceed Encore, for being, the fantastic card that you are here. But you got to keep in mind here that in terms of all of this, that deck is still an annoying problem. Having a boss monster that's walking around that, the little duelist that shows up to locals every once a month because, they actually got the chance to play the game for the weekend. They lose to the little house cat that's supercharged with 5 materials. It's not going to be a fun experience for them. So I am wondering if Konami is kind of reevaluating some of these things. I mean, we already know that Tier Elements is on the chopping block for this. All right, I do know that the OCG does have different mentalities than the TCG does. I've read some tweets from some players that were talking about that. The OCG, they want to try to leave as many decks as playable as possible, but that mentality feels very conflicted because of what they've done to Alistair ABC in the past with just the destruction of the pieces. And it feels like more of a recent time here that they're trying to kind of counterbalance that aspect of things a wee little bit. But overall, from where I'm sitting right now with this, it is very interesting. I've never seen Konami make a late ban list before. They're going full break tradition here at this point in time. And I really am wondering if it was down to the fact that, once again, maybe there's something wrong with the publication of Shueisha, for the Weekly Shonen Jump for this. Maybe there's something going on in the back that we're not really seeing here. Or if it was really just, hey, we needed more time for this. Honestly, I think Konami has been putting a lot more time into Master Duel as late. I don't know how many people have been paying attention to that, by the way. There's way, way, way more going on right now. Master Duel's success has been an absolutely amazing one in the OCG. I know there's going to be TCG players who will be like, Master Duel? Ha! I don't like that game. There's no point in playing it. And I mean, that's fine. You can say that, but I mean, it's turned into an absolute powerhouse, across the pond. I'm sorry to tell you that, but if they're dedicating more of their resources to Master Duel, that actually force them to kind of take a step back here, that's kind of interesting. But I don't know. I really am wondering what the issue is. I wonder if there's going to be I don't think there's going to be an erratum because we don't have a valuable book. The only time that Konami makes erratums to cards would be at the point of a publication like that, but those are usually done months in advance. So if there was really a last minute thing here that Konami had to go, we need to clean this up, that is very interesting. But I'm wondering what it would be. I'm wondering if they're trying to maybe they hit tier in a way that they were like, we need to clean this up, because they players don't want to stick around for another 3-month format of yay, Tier Elements. I perfectly understand that. But you've got to counterbalance out the rest of the stuff. And like I said, we're still a month off from Duelist Nexus even showing up actually 5 weeks away from Duelist Nexus actually showing up in the OCG. So they got to pat that down and get that ready. And then, you have the Fire Duelist pack rolling out, in May. This list has to cover quite a lot of ground. Because remember, the OCG is set in 3-month intervals, unlike the TCG that goes, hey, I think today's the good day for a ban list, right? Right? You guys really look like you could use a new Forbidden and Related list. That's the TCG mentality things. But I mean, getting a list every 2 months for cleanups that were major issues did feel kind of refreshing. So I'll give it to the TCG. While taking the timer off did have its advantages, having the timed, being prepared for this does feel a lot better. So what do you guys think about, oh no, should we be worried about this? Please leave a comment down below. Oh, I'm ready for the implications of this list. No matter what happens on this list, good or bad, the OCG site's going to crash again and they're just going to cry themselves to sleep. But I guess good job on breaking tradition for what it's worth. Peace out, guys. Patrons! Thank you!
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.